slideshow here. We're going to pick up just with John Calvin and the Presbyterian Church. So Calvin will be a reformer like Martin Luther, ending up breaking from the Roman Catholic Church. Like Luther had started out as a Catholic, but he leaves France because of being persecuted there for his religious ideas. He ends up in a small city-state known as Geneva, where he's able to establish control in a theocracy. So a theocracy is a government based around religion, and he is making Geneva, it's his ideas, his teachings and practices. So Calvin was actually a prolific writer and really established as I think the basis for the modern Protestant churches. Luther spoke and wrote a lot, but Calvin does more. I think he preaches about 300 times a year. I think he has 29 volumes of work in the end. So his main work is his Institute of Christian Religion. And two ideas we want to look at here is the idea of salvation being gained by faith alone, similar to what Luther would have said, and the Bible being a source of religious truth. The Calvinist ideas really stress hard work, discipline, honesty. In American history, I would have called that the Protestant work ethic or the Puritan work ethic you might have learned about in 9th grade American history class. So here's a map showing you, like, if he fled Paris, he ends up in Geneva, which is part of the Swiss Confederation, part of this Holy Roman Empire, which is really pretty weak. But the northern part of this Holy Roman Empire, where the Holy and the Roman part is, that's where you'd find Luther and the success of the Lutheran Church, north of that. Let's talk about John Calvin's beliefs. He does believe that God's all-powerful, and this is something unique then. This next part is really unique to the Calvinists or the Presbyterians. That only people God had chosen would be saved. They're elected to be saved. You can't change that. So this is the idea of predestination. Neither good works nor faith could save you if you were not elected to be saved. Therefore, they preach, the Presbyterians and the Calvinists preach a very God-fearing life. And they had very strict rules for people, like no card playing, no dancing, no theater. And I think that last part is really interesting because we'll see Calvin's ideas, besides being very popular in Geneva, we see them also in Scotland. Scotland is next to England. England, of course, is the home to Shakespeare. So I can't imagine within 100 years of Shakespeare living, or even maybe closer, maybe 50 years, like outlawing the theater. But that's what happens. So Calvin's ideas will really be put into play more when we establish the Presbyterian Church. And who establishes that? But his best student, John Knox. If you were following or interested in churches, you may find a Calvinist church around here or anywhere else in the country, but you're more likely to find Presbyterian churches. There's one right there on Route 19 in the North Hills across from Devlin's Funeral Home. So John Knox establishes this, and he will follow the teachings of John Calvin. What's significant about John Knox is he influences people that are not just Scottish, but some people right over the boundary of what we call England. England and Scotland share the British Isles. So the Puritans are important for us as American students because the Puritans will end up leaving England for what is the 13 colonies, which is the country that you live in today. And that's really the significance I really want to hit you over the head with, if I may, with the significance of John Calvin's ideas. His ideas they're the foundation for the 13 colonies in North America.